Hey guys, what's up? Cobra Axis and Allies here with a pretty special video. As you can see here, I've got some really nice 3D printed pieces, which just got sent to me by the Plastic Commando in one of his latest prizes, and he was really generous in one of those in the last video because there was, I think, eight contestants in his last contest, and he just decided to allow everybody to be a winner in the contest, and as you can see, allotted a good amount of pieces to each of the contestants. And yeah, so this video is just to kind of show off what I got in the latest prize, and just kind of how I might use them, and yeah, and just to thank the Plastic Commando for his really nice contribution to my World War I collection. So you can see here there's a few pieces, and some of you might recognize that these are from HBG, and Doug, he was nice enough to send these over to the Plastic Commando for his contest. And as you can see also, the Plastic Commando, he painted these, he gave them a really nice weathering, and decaled them even. So they came out really nice looking, and I'll show off a few of them to you. Now, as you can see with my older videos, like I like to paint my pieces like realistically, like skin tones and just kind of like lifelike pieces. So now with these, some of you might think they might not be able to be used in my games, or because they aren't painted up. And one main thing is I don't want to just paint over these because they look really good as is, and a lot of time went into these by the Plastic Commando. So some pieces like these German light tanks, I think they're Leichter Kampfwagons, they and also this K-Wagon, they are already the Panzer grade that I'm going to be using for Germany, so I really don't need to add any paint schemes to these. So the Austro-Hungarian Motorgeschütz is another really nice one. I have a few of these, so that'll just be an added addition to my collection. And the Austro-Hungarian army is already going to be green, so that one works with my original scheme. These Schneider French tanks, these were some of my favorite tanks of the war. They just look really cool to me. I highly suggest you check out some pictures of these. But the French camouflage I'm going to be using in-game has a lot of blue in it, so what I'm going to be doing is painting some of the camouflage lines over this blue color, but retaining, the overall blue look to it. The little roundel I won't paint over or anything like that. This is, I think, a Mark 9 British troop transport, and again, everything here just looks really nice, especially with the staining job that the Plastic Commando did, and really nice decals on these things. This will probably just be used as a British tank, just for simplicity. We have here a kind of something I really like about HBG recently was they added a lot of these kind of like more obscure vehicles that weren't actually built, but it's just really cool to see these kind of take life in an actual model in-game. This is an American designed tank, if you can call it that. It's a pretty strange vehicle. But, some people I've heard, they've told me, why don't I go fully realistic, kind of like with the World War II game, using completely realistic kind of vehicles that were used. But to that I say, why? This is a game that, people like to keep things sometimes historically accurate, but when you think about Axis and Allies, I mean, the whole game is pretty much ahistorically accurate, because, if you're Germany and you decide to invade Belgium before France, already you've gone a different route than was originally intended, or even like invading the Soviet Union instead of France. Stuff like that already breaks the historical significance of like what you're going off of in the beginning. So what I say is, if you can spice up things by, adding one of these Russian, forget the name of this, it's a really long Russian word, but a heavy tank. And Russia used they used some leased over British Mark Fives, and pretty much all the Allies used those. So it's like, do you want a board of just plain old Mark Fives just everywhere, and maybe like AV7s or A7V German tanks for all the Central Power nations, or do you want to have stuff like this? And people might wonder like, whoa, this is a pretty weird tank, like, and then you could give them a little backstory on it, like this tank, even though it wasn't built, it was one of the first armored vehicles and also self-propelled artillery that was ever highly considered, and it was close to being mass-produced, but Russia decided to cut the budget on some of their motorization of their military. So overall, I really like adding just vehicles that weren't used, just to kind of help add some I guess interest to the game. Some ahistorical kind of just differences in the specific nations. So most of these I'll just be using with my World War I game. And this here is a Spanish, it's a 1920s era tank. It was a prototype. I think they built about 3 of these, and I think they used 1 in the Spanish Civil War. But this I'll just probably be adding to my World War I Spanish tank collection. This German aircraft carrier is a really nice mold and everything, and it'll just be going into my German 1914 Navy. And then this thing, the Liberty ship, or I forget the name of it, or the Olympic class. Yeah, really like HBG putting the names on the bottoms of their ships. But this thing, there was an expansion, or not really an expansion, but like a little added rule set that a person made up on the Facebook page I'm on, and it had to do with it was a World War II expansion, and as of World War II, there was I think 3 main superliners that existed. One was in the that were in like kind of top what's it called? They were in pristine condition, and they were actually used during the war. And so I'm going to be using a modified version of that for World War II. So you can see here, this Olympic class will be going to Britain, and they can pay, I think, 10 IPCs to convert it into a troop transport. And I think it's a transport that can take 3 or 4 infantry in non-combat only. So, and you only get 1, and you can't build anymore. So it's a pretty nice unit. And then Germany will be getting 1, and I forget the name of theirs, but they will be getting a superliner, which I've ordered. But this set definitely kind of showed me how nice these HBG pieces are, these 3D printed, resin printed ones. And I just made an order of a bunch more for my World War II game, so stay tuned for that in the future. But overall, I really enjoyed this pack, just kind of sitting around and looking at all the details and everything that are captured, not only by the mold, but also by the fantastic weathering job and decal job that the Plastic Commando did. So I can't thank him enough for sending these things out to me, and I can't wait for my World War I map to be printed and see these things in action. So overall, I hope to see you guys again, and I hope to see you in more World War I painting reviews, and maybe to see these guys come up in the future. But yeah, overall, really enjoyed these things. Thank you so much, Plastic Commando. Cobra, out.